Don't go into your 50s one paycheck away from having to go down to the local payday loan place to get a loan when something goes wrong with your personal finance. Don't be 55 years old doing that. Guys, your 40s is huge because your 40s is that time in your life where you really want to have your financial act together because you want to get ready. You see that retirement is coming. You may want to have an opportunity to retire early, right? So you have less stress, less panic. And your 40s is the time when you set the tone for choices down the road, because really what you want to have in your 50s and 60s with your money is you want to have choices. You don't want to be forced to have to keep working. So your 40s sets the tone really for the rest of your life. It's all about choices because choices is the key to financial freedom. So let me give you 8 major financial milestones that you want to accomplish in your 40s before you reach age 50. The first thing you want to do in your 40s is you want to max out your retirement investments. In other words, your 401k, your 403b, your Roth IRA, any individual retirement account you have, you want to try to max it out as much as possible in your 40s if you can, because you still have some time. If you're 40 years old, you might not want to retire and stop working for another 15 or 20 years or 25 years, right? So you have some time, but you got to take advantage of the time. And so really in your 40s, if you can, you need to be lobbing as much money as possible to these retirement accounts. But listen, if you can't max out your retirement investments in your 40s, at least ensure that you're putting a lot of money, as much as possible, towards your retirement accounts. In your 40s, you're going to start to realize that age 55 and age 60 and age 65, it ain't that far away. It's closer than you think. But if you can strive to have at least 5 to 6 times of whatever your annual salary is put aside in investments in your 40s and into your 50s, you're doing pretty good. Now, the second major financial milestone you want to reach in your 40s is a strong diversification of all the things that you're invested in. So in other words, in your 40s, you want to start looking at your portfolio, overall portfolio, and making sure that it's balanced, right? You may have individual stocks. You may have ETFs and index funds. You may even have some real estate, some bonds, right? I'm not a big bond person, but maybe you may have a few. The point is you want to spread things out, and you want to make sure that's done in your 40s. Whatever you do, you don't want to get caught up in one stock, right? You don't want to have all your money sitting in Broadcom or all your money sitting in Nvidia or all your money sitting in Amazon. You want to make sure you spread it out and you have money working for you in various places, because the more diversification, the greater the protection for your money as it grows. Now, the third major milestone that you want to accomplish in your 40s is paying off debt on all the things that are not going up in value. That's what we call bad debt. If it's medical bills, student loan bills, credit card balances, you want to pay that stuff off, because all that stuff is doing is robbing you of all the money that you could be putting towards growth. You're having to put it towards things that are going down in value. That's a problem. If you can get debt out of your way as soon as possible, it's going to free up a lot of extra money that you can now start putting towards investing for your future. Look, your 60-year-old self will thank you for getting out of debt when you're 45. I run into so many people who still work a job simply and only because they have debt. They have a house they got to pay off, they have cars they got to pay off, they have student loans for their children, and they're still working into their 60s because they have all this stuff that they could have paid off 20 years earlier. So I'm saying in your 40s, go ahead and get rid of the debt, and then vow not to go back into debt on anything going down in value while you're in your 40s, so you can reach your 50s with momentum going forward and not having to pay for debt. Now, the fourth major financial milestone to accomplish in your 40s is making sure you build a fully funded emergency fund. Don't go into your 50s one paycheck away from having to go down to the local payday loan place to get a loan when something goes wrong with your personal finance. Don't be 55 years old doing that. Get your emergency fund that you need to have because things go wrong. Get it fully funded in your 40s. Accomplish that. Some people have already done that in their 20s. Great, fantastic. Some people struggle with that into their 40s and 50s and 60s. I'm saying get it done as soon as possible. In your 40s is a great time to build up a fully funded emergency fund. Look, you're in your 40s, right? You've seen some things, right? You know that stuff happens, and you know other people who've been the victim of not having an extra $1,000 or $1,500 laying around. Don't be that person. Prioritize an emergency fund and get it done. That's 3 to 6 months of your living expenses or 3 to 6 months of your needs. Now, financial milestone number 5 that you need to reach in your 40s is trying to build up some significant amount of equity in your home or in a home, in some real estate, in your 40s. In other words, guys, if you're a homeowner, try to focus on paying down that mortgage a little bit early. Just because you were 38 years old and you got a 30-year mortgage doesn't mean you got to pay it off in 30 years. Pay an extra payment or two. If you pay an extra couple of payments a year on your mortgage, you can knock off 10 or 11 years off that 30-year mortgage and pay it off a little bit early. Now, I'm not saying you have to pay that mortgage off early. Maybe you want to put that money into the stock market. But it's not a bad idea to get as much equity working in your real estate as possible. Now, I know people that do this and they paid their home off early. I've never had a person that paid their home off early say, you know what, that was a horrible idea. I should have went ahead and took that money because I would have got a better rate in the stock market. Look, people don't really say that. You got to have a place to live. And so if you own a home or you're buying a home, why not pay that thing down early? Listen, when you have a bunch of equity in a house, you have options, you have choices. So if you got $400,000 of equity in a home, you got a whole lot more options than if you have $50,000 of equity in a home. And that's all I'm saying. When you're in your 40s, you want to prepare yourself to have these options and these choices. And one way to do it is by paying down as much as possible on a mortgage so you got equity. And when you have that equity, you can do things with that equity, right? But let me say this also. Everybody doesn't have to have a home or have a mortgage or buy a house or have real estate to be a millionaire or to be successful financially. You decide what's best for you. Don't just buy a home because everybody buys a home. Buy a home if it fits in the plans of what you want to do with your life. And if you decide to buy a home, you may not want to spend a whole 30 years paying it down or paying it off. You may want to get it done quicker so you have more options. And that's building up the equity. Now, the sixth financial milestone you want to reach in your 40s is to create multiple streams of income while you're in your 40s. In other words, you want to diversify how you get money. It could be investments. It could be side hustles. It could be rental properties, commercial or residential. When you're in your 40s, you want to start thinking about the various ways that you're going to have to fund your retirement when you're done working, right? You don't just want to rely on a job only because when the job stops or you want to leave the job, now that's a big old gap of income that you're going to be missing. What are some other ways that you can get some multiple streams of income? Be thinking of that and develop some of those things in your 40s, right? It could be dividend income. It could be royalty income. It could be, like I said earlier, rental income, or maybe you start a business where you get some type of profit income. But the more sources of income that you have, ultimately, the more comfortable your financial life is going to be. So in your 40s, you want to start mapping this thing out and deciding, okay, where is the income going to come from to fund my life and my lifestyle when I stop working, right? You got to look out there and say, wait a minute, in 10 years, I'm going to be in my 50s, okay? I may not want to do what I'm doing right now for work, okay? So if that's the case, where is this income going to come from? How am I going to pay my bills? You need to start developing those various sources of income while you're in your 40s, right? Because the goal at age 62 is not just to receive Social Security, right? You don't want that being your only source of income. Prepare now. The seventh important major financial milestone that you want to reach in your 40s is make sure you have adequate, solid insurance on everything. Look, there's really people walking around in their 40s who don't have insurance on the things that you probably should have insurance on, right? That means automobile insurance, health insurance, life insurance, very important one. Please make sure you have life insurance. It could be homeowners insurance, or if you're not a homeowner, renter's insurance. I know it's odd, but please make sure you got all those things intact, in place in your 40s, which leads me to number 8. And the 8th financial milestone you want to make sure you take care of in your 40s is an estate plan. A nice comprehensive estate plan so that if something happens to you, all of your family members, whether you have children or not, nieces, nephews, whatever, sisters, brothers, they're covered. They can not only bury you, but maybe you can leave something for the people behind you if you have some type of solid estate plan that's established. And you don't have to worry about the state, because in America, the state will direct where all of your stuff goes when you're not here no more. But if you have an estate plan, you get to say where all that stuff goes when you're not here anymore. So an estate plan is what? Your will, your power of attorney, your healthcare director or healthcare power of attorney, and all the other provisions and terms. And then you have everything maybe titled over to the estate plan. Listen, having an estate plan in your 40s is like insurance, because it ensures that What you have is going to go where you want it to go, to whom you want it to go for. And the estate plan is not just for you. Having a good solid estate plan is for the people who are left behind when you're gone. So they don't have to bicker and fight and argue about who gets what. You already said who gets what in your estate plan. You say who's responsible to do this, who's responsible to take care of that. In an estate plan, everything is spelled out. Why? Because you don't want your stuff to go to probate. Probate meaning the state is going to now dictate and tell where all your stuff is going to be headed when you're no longer here. I just don't want that personally, and I don't really want it for you either. One of the things that people always leave out is they leave out the estate planning, and it's really the wisest $1,500 or $2,000 or $2,500 that you'll ever spend. When you die, guys, you want to have as less confusion as possible for the people that are left behind. So doing an estate plan is one of the wisest things you can do with your money in your 40s. So there you have it, guys. That's the 8 major financial milestones that you want to accomplish while you're in your 40s. If you're watching this video and you're over 50, that's cool. Get it done now. If you're watching this video and you're in your 30s, get it done now. Why wait? But your 40s, guys, that's the time when you start looking forward to retiring. You start looking forward to what's next. What's the next chapter of life for me gonna look like? And you realize you're not gonna be here forever. So you might as well start getting this stuff in order, because those latter years, they're coming. The same amount of time it took you to get from 30 to 40 is the same amount of time it's gonna take for you to go from 40 to 50. Because I can guarantee this, guys, the older you get, the faster it seems like time goes. So from 30 to 40, seemed like it went by just like that. But 40 to 50, that's gonna come quicker than you know it. And then 50 to 60, even faster. So let's start preparing now in our 40s. Hey, listen, if you got value from this quick video, guys, do me a favor, share it with somebody who you know is in their 30s or even their 40s or 50s. Just share it with somebody to pass this information on to somebody else so they can begin to prepare as well. Smash that like button, drop a comment below. Let me know, do you have all this stuff in place already? I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Remember, the absolute best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.